How you doing, everybody? I'm showing off my new mask with my Van Cleef and Arpels watch on it. I figured I had to wear these blasted things. So anyhow, they do fog up my glasses, so I gotta take them off. Anyhow, everybody, welcome. And oh boy, today, what I thought might be an interesting topic. Oh, hi, John and Richard and Bruce. How you guys doing? What is something that, hi, Javi, that'd be fun to talk about, and I think worthwhile too, is there are all of these micro brands that are coming out. Hi, Gary. Hi, Indrajit and Mr. Gumby. We really haven't talked much about, here you have a micro brand. Now, when FP Journe got started, it was micro, but it wasn't the same as sort of a more entrepreneurial approach that somebody says, well, I like watches and I'd like to get in the watch business. And so I'm going to do this, and the other thing. And then finally, there are these, these heavy duty, and by heavy duty, I mean, they got like clout, fashion houses like Hermes, like, let's see, who else? Van Cleef and Arpels, and a lot of these other ones that are, they can get the people they want. Harry Winston's a good example. Early on, Chanel, that's another good example, John. When Harry Winston first got started, and this is long before they were bought by Swatch, they went out and they got Roger Dubuis, they got Jean-Marc Viderec, and then they had their Opus series, and they got everybody who was just like the top-notch watchmakers. And so you have sort of a different sense of these things, other than, oh, they're a fashion brand. Well, not exactly. A fashion brand is some, basically some cheap watch that they slap Burberry on or something like that. They're not really making them themselves. Hi, Thomas. How you doing? Nefaron. Good morning. So anyway, I thought that would be something that would be worth, sort of talking about. Now, I guess hi, Tony. The place I would like to sort of start is ask you guys, first of all, what do you consider a micro brand? I mean, like, what would be an example of a company that's a micro brand? This is one thing I've got some ideas, and some of them are very sort of I like a lot, like Ophion. They have, I think they may have done their own hands, maybe some part of the dial, but they didn't do much more of the watch than that. And but they got a really good case. They got an interesting movement in the techno time. So they're but on the other hand, there's really no horological talent. I'll put it that way. And then you have. So what are some other ones that you consider micro brands? Do you own any of them? I was looking around and I don't think I have any micro brands. Only 2 cases of COVID on the island at the moment in Guernsey. Very lucky here. Oh man, no kidding. You guys are very lucky. I think New Zealand has been very fortunate too in keeping COVID at bay. So that's another thing. Always remember to be careful. There needs to have lots of money to stir that kind of know-how. Yeah, John, that's why fashion houses can come up with some really good things. Bulgari at one time hired both Gerald Genta and Daniel Roth. I don't think they probably use their talents the way they should, because the guy who was sort of the head of I guess watchmaking at the time was sort of I think he was a little jealous. Hey, William Rizzo, how you doing, man? Ming is another good example. Thanks, Indrajit. Do you have a Ming, Indrajit? Let's see. As the greetings go on. Okay. So let me sort of give you the lowdown on what I see as these different brands. Now, one of the things that I think are really interesting, and by the way, too, and very soon, I almost jumped the gun on it. Marco Lang, I'm going to have a video soon, very soon, on the new Marco Lang. Now, here's a guy who came from a family of watchmakers. And when he started Lang and Hein right away, he was making these fabulous watches. And I don't think anybody considered that a micro brand. And then I don't know, for whatever reason, he left Lang and Hein and started a new brand called Marco Lang Watches. And they're going to be launched very, very soon. Some people may have even done it a little too soon. I don't know who they were, but they were there and then they disappeared. I saw recently a non-chronograph watch made by Chrono Swiss. Oh boy, Chrono Swiss is one that I just don't know that much about. I never considered Chrono Swiss a micro brand. They were sort of here and then they were gone, and then they had ETAs, and I'm not really sure, but I think Chrono Swiss has got more of a history than I know about, because I read something and it had been doing some things for a number of years. Maybe some of you have Chrono Swisses or know more about it than I do. Richard. Hi, Richard. Micro-brand watches are defined as companies that make between, yeah, I see, but that, Richard, I'm sure you're right about that in some definition, but that's not a really bright definition. When, I mean, are you going to call Roger Smith a micro brand? He makes what, 10 or 12 watches a year, or Daniel Roth, or a lot of these other guys. It's not the same sense. A micro brand, or for that matter, FP Journe, I think FP Journe is only making like 800, 900 watches a year, but they don't have the sense of a micro brand. Hi, Andrew. Hey, Gary, oh, there you are. You were here. Hi, Gary again. Hi, Lee. Wearing your Irish hat to compliment the French. All right. I'm not French. Moi? Okay. I wouldn't consider Chrono Swiss a micro brand either. Yeah, this is why I wanted to talk with you guys about it, because we've got these different things, and Richard, no offense to you, but sometimes these definitions come out. Somebody from Gear Patrol or something like that decides, oh well, this must be a micro brand, but they really don't seem to think it through very much. And I think that as collectors, we need to do that, because I think it's very important. Because first of all, I mean, someone says, oh, well, I'd pass on that Philippe Dufour. It's a micro brand. They only make 10 or 11, ever. So, that kind of thing. And that's how come I divided it between sort of, you have a watchmaker brand, and this is some master watchmaker. Then you have the micro brands, and I think this is more of an entrepreneurial thing. And then you have these big fashion houses who have the wherewithal to start a real watch company. Then you have another one too that is sort of really interesting. You take Parmigiani. Parmigiani, it was the Sandoz family foundation, and they've got big bucks. Same thing with Beauvais. Beauvais came out. Beauvais was founded on, well, the nice way to say it, the new Beauvais, which actually they call Beauvais 1822 that started about 10, 15 years ago with when Pascal Raffi decided to take it over. That's not a micro brand at all. And so, and in terms of what he did with it, started it with a whole lot of money that had come from pharmaceutical work that he had been involved in. Some people call it drug money, which would be accurate, but not in the right way. Hi, old bud. 3 days, 6 hours until the new. Yes, old bud. That's right. Hi, Andrew. Hi, Hans. Lots of ETA heavily modified with modules are gradually flooding the market. I don't know. There's some that are coming out. You're right, John. I think I know what you're talking about. But flooding, I don't think would be necessarily the right ones, right name for it. Here's an example. This is the Daniel Roth. Okay, now this was a time. Here was a guy who had done this and done that, and then went and basically saved Breguet. I think he was working with Audemars Piguet at the time, and then they tapped him to come over to a Breguet because Breguet really wasn't doing very much. They had a couple models. I think they had a model of the Classique and one other one. I forgot which one it was. Probably the Type 20. And then so he goes in there and then bazoom does this total sort of let's get like Abraham Breguet and transforms Breguet into sort of a ho-hum kind of company to, back to what Abraham Breguet had. So what happened when the guys, I'm trying to think with Breguet, forgot what the whole situation was. But anyway, it's always financial. So Daniel Roth says, okay, well, I'm going to do my own. So he starts doing his own. But this has got, instead of having, some of his watches have a Daniel Roth movement, but others, like this one, they put in, this is a chronograph, they put in a El Primero, tip-top brand of movement, as opposed to some knockoff or something. Here's another one by Roger Dubuis. And it's got a Roger Dubuis movement, design, and everything else about it is Roger Dubuis. Then later on, when they were bought by, somebody, and then they bring in the management, and they want to cut corners and save money and so forth. And while this one was one of the early ones with a gold rotor, the new ones are out of ruthenium. And then you have ones like Van Cleef and Arpels. Now, Van Cleef and Arpels is like super famous as a jeweler in Paris. And they had a watch in, I think it was 1949, right after shortly after World War II. And Paris, of course, not Paris so much, but as France was sort of rebuilding after the war. And Arpels was the guy. Van Cleef was one, and then Arpels was, I forgot his first name. He was sort of running around doing marketing and so forth. And so he wanted to have an Arpels watch. And so he sketched it up for him. And I don't know what, I think it's Jaeger-LeCoultre movement in it. And so he had this thing called Monsieur Arpels was the name of the watch. So later on, they said, well, hey, what we'd like to do is make it a dual time and yet keep it thin. That's so we're going to put double the movements. And so they went to Agenor. I think I told you this story. They said, hey, look, we'd like you to do something with this to make it a dual time, but keep it thin and keep it, time only. So they said, we're using this Jaeger-LeCoultre, so what you can do is just, put something on it. And so Jean-Marc Viderec said, how about this for an idea? What we'll do is we'll keep sort of the same size and shape as much as possible. and then we'll do this and so. Well, finally he ended up saying, well, I guess I better do the whole movement myself because I can't do this and do that without doing that. We have to use a micro rotor so that it fits right in there instead of having to stack it up and make it thick, so on and so forth. So anyway, but this is, I mean, as a horological feature, it's Agenor, 100%. But, you know, these are, I mean, and so you have some really excellent watches from like fashion brands, but, you know, a couple guys, like at Opium, I like Opium. I like them very much. But, you know, they're not watchmakers. I mean, they're not movement makers. They're not horologists, so to speak, but they do have some neat things about stuff. Hey, Hans, how you doing? Hey, Wataki Watches, and Mark Omega, how are you? Thank you. Hey, Jean-Claude Beaver's here. Keep my eye on Stefan Kettelars as a watchmaker. Has he done, Tony, has Kettelars, Stefan done a movement yet? Hi, Ziomi. My concrete Miss Smaller brands is fear of being able to service a watch in 10 years or the lack of watchmakers being able to serve because of existing parts. You know, here's the funny thing. A lot of these micro brands will use, well, they used to use ETAs, but now they're going to be using some very common movement. Now, I think I'd have a harder time finding a watchmaker who can deal with a Roger Dubuis with a movement that's made by Roger Dubuis than, you know, two guys, a pickup truck and a dream, who want to be a watchmaker. So, yeah, it depends on where they go with it. If they're making their own movement, then you might have a point, Zio-Me, but unfortunately or fortunately, depends on how you look at it, that's not the case. I was incensed by my Christian Vanderklaw. I thought it was a Soprod, which is, you know, is sort of a special movement because it fit everything that the ETA 2892 A2 did. But then I found out it really was a 2992 and was somehow miffed by the whole thing, that they didn't give me the right information about it. But the big reason I got it was for the Christian Vanderklaw module that was in it. And right now I'm considering two different AHCI watchmakers, both of whom have these fabulous modifications to it and designs, but the underlying movement is a 2892. And so it's funny is that if they, you know, quit or go away, I can still get those serviced a lot quicker than I can, you know, something by one of these more elaborate ones. You know, you take, for example, some of the most interesting watches came out of Germany after reunification. A Longa came up, Glotuda Original came up, and a lot of these other ones, and eventually, I'm trying to think how long ago it was Moritz Grossmann, Christine Hutter's company, are, because they're, I don't know if they're located in Glotuda, does that mean they're real German watches? Whereas if they're located in, well, no, or if they're even better, if they're located in Dresden, does that mean they're the best of the best? Because that's where Stefan Kadoki and Marco Lang and Rolf Lang and Lang and Heim are all located, making just nothing but tip-top handmade watches. These are some of the things I think that, you know, make watch collecting interesting. This one, by the way, like I said, my Daniel Roth. For some reason I always have a little thing that says Daniel Roth watch, which is, you know, it's a wonderful watch. It's got that ellipso curvature case that he's famous for, but it basically the movement is an El Primero. Okay, so let's say that I don't think if I wanted to, if I wrote to Daniel Ross and said, "Hey, I got a problem with this," he wouldn't. He would say, "Well, take it to Zenith or somebody else to fix it, because I'm not messing with those anymore." So anyway, how we doing on time? Oh, good. We got plenty of time. Okay, so let's see if we can sort of where we draw the line, or maybe there isn't a line to be drawn, but rather some kind of understanding we have. So we can say, okay, this is micro brand. I see micro brands as new brands who are put together by entrepreneurs. Okay. So that is, there are more people who like watches, and I think they can either, I don't know if there are any quick buck characters in the micro brand business. There might be, but it's sort of the old joke: if you want to make a little money in the watch business, start with a lot of money. And I think that's, sometimes a micro brand will come along and they'll do some great things, or they'll appear to do great things, and then all of a sudden they'll disappear. I don't know. I just, to me, it would be a very, very hard one. Hey, you like my DR? So do I. This is a funny little watch. It's just, and the fun part about it, it's got an El Primero, which is like one of my favorite chronographs, but I never knew of them outside of a Zenith or a Daytona. Hey, Mark Omega, what's your opinion of Ming? When I first saw Ming, I really liked it, just the looks of it. I like their designs are fairly simple. I don't know that much about Ming as a watchmaker. Now there are different Mings, if I'm not mistaken. There's one guy named Ming who is either I think he's a candidate for entry into the AHCI. And then there's another Ming, but I'm not positive about that. So those are my views on that. Marco, do you know anything more about Ming? Or yeah, Marco Mega. Okay, so let's see. So we have, if we look at the sort of watchmakers brands by watchmakers, you have F.P. Journe, Kerry Vouten-Lannen, Michel Parmigiani, and so we can another guy I can't remember. Is MV&T a micro brand? Ooh. MV&T. William, what is MV&T? If it's what I think it is, no, LOL, pop movement. What? Rizzo, MV&T. Hi, Paul, how you doing? Tony Welder, fashion. What is MV&T? I'm really not sure. Oh, MX Phil, don't feed the trolls. Okay. Was I feeding a troll? I'm filling in for Clyde. Oh, okay. Hey, how is Clyde? I haven't heard from him. Where's Clyde? Is Clyde okay? Okay, all right, I get it. All right, okay, guys. I get it. I'm sorry. Now, see, that would be a micro brand, I think. Okay, and let's, rather than talking about the quality of it, let's just put it in a classification. Now, it doesn't mean all micro brands are junk. But a lot of them aren't very interesting. This is one of the things, the project that we had going, and I hope to crank up again by next October, because there's not a lot we can really do in terms of getting our own watch movement and everything else until this whole thing is over. He was sick, but he's feeling better now. Bruce, he didn't have COVID, did he? I hope not. Well, I hope he didn't have anything too bad. They're also, like pneumonia never took a vacation. Okay. Okay. William, we got the picture. MBNT is junk. Let's not worry about so much if it's good or bad, but rather where it would fit. And I think it fits in very well with a micro brand. I don't know where Ming is going, and I don't know. Apparently there's more than one Ming. One is a real honest to goodness watchmaker. The other one, I think, is a businessman who runs a brand that's called Ming from Malaysia, maybe? Is that it? Indonesia, someplace like that. Oh, come on, you guys. Enough whining about MBNT or whatever it's called, okay? Okay, let me give you another brand. Here's one. It's a house, okay? It's sort of it's a brand that owns a lot of brands. And that is LVMH. I think it's what it is. LVMH. It stands for Louis Vuitton something something. There's another guy. Okay, thanks, old bud. And what they own, LVMH, Louis Vuitton owns Zenith, Bulgari. I'm trying to say it the way they say it. Let's see what else. There's some other things that they have, but when you look at a brand like Zenith, here you have a fashion house or a fashion conglomerate like LVMH. They don't fit as a fashion, but rather a fashion house bought them. And that's another category that we have. Yeah, the horological revolution, Andrew, that's sort of an interesting prize. I'll put it that way. It's, when you look at the how it was put together, that's what's important. And I'm not really sure. But that is an important thing to know, okay? And I'd really, really like to find out more about that. So, and that's the other thing too. If you go to Grand Prix, you can find out a lot about the watch, because each watch, when it's not blowing smoke, and a lot of them do that, you can find out a lot about it. And the fact, well, what did they do to win the Horological Revelation Prize, and what is the Revelation Prize? That's not one of the categories that you enter into, but once you're in, I think the judges say, well, this deserves a prize in this category for some reason. A short glimpse video at a short glimpse video at Gilo dials would be greatly appreciated. Fine dials, complex Gilo charge. I'm not sure what, John. Hodinky, Hodinky, or what do they call them? Hello, Band 16. Thank you. Do you own a Casio watches? No, I don't. I think in the past I owned them, but that was sort of pre-LVMH. That's right. Yeah, Tag Heuer. Yep. Xiaomi. Thank you. That's exactly right. Bud, Bulgari Chayume. Chayume is an interesting one. That's one that sort of interesting. Gilo shedding. I'm not sure what it's called. LVMH owns Hodinky. I didn't know that. That is interesting. That's very interesting. Thank you, Hans. Nefarian. I love the copper dials and Mings. Yeah, that I think probably Nefarian. When I first saw Ming, the first ones, that they came out with. In fact, they were entered in the Grand Prix in 2018 and didn't win anything. I think, and even in 2017. But I like the watches they had. This one, for some reason, I didn't pay as much attention to as I probably should have. The dial face machining. Thoughts on Chanel's 20% ownership of FPJ? I think it's a good thing. Here's why. Okay, well, it's good for any kind of future that FPJ is going to have. FP Journe keeps threatening to die, so you better buy his watches. I think it's so funny. He's only 60 something. He says, I got one foot in the grave. If you buy it now. So I think they're having it. They sort of represent, I think, sort of a continuation of the brand beyond FP Journe. It's the same way that Roger Dubuis has been gone for a number of years, but his company goes on because whomever owns it now got it before. What micro brand release made the best watch in your opinion? Boy, this is it, Marco. I don't pay attention to micro brands, to tell you the truth, and because I don't see anything horologically interesting about them. Now, I'm talking about ones that the ones that are basically some entrepreneurs getting parts here and there. Maybe they know how to make one part of it. Now if you look at not Ophion, but the one in Scotland, something or other. Now they are like first-class dial makers, but now they also have watches. I don't know whether they made the cases as well. Like they made the dials and perhaps the hands, probably the hands. And so that's sort of another kind of thing that's going on. Is Perpetual a micro brand? Thank goodness, I certainly hope so. This is my Perpetual. They have this is the interesting thing about Perpetual is they make tourbillons and they have all kinds of things like that, and they're all basically from Siegel. And so they have a deal with Siegel and they'll buy stuff from Siegel and put it together, but their stuff sells out almost immediately. And one guy, funny, it's not funny. Bill if Bill is here, I apologize, but Bill from England, there's one Bill over there, I think, wanted to buy one. And so he sent a deposit for the next batch. Well, they sent him a letter and said, look, we got a problem that they sent us a bad batch of movements. And so we're going to have them make a whole new batch for us. And so once we get those, then we can send it, or we can send your money back. Well, he elected to have his money sent back and said, well, maybe you guys will have it, maybe not. So why don't you just go ahead and send me my money? So they got all of their orders fulfilled. So poor old Bill goes back and says, hey, okay, I'd like one now. And I said, no, we're not going to sell you one because you took your money back. You took your deposit back. I thought, oh man, that's poor. Anyway, now that's a very interesting kind of brand doing stuff like that. Hi, Krasmir, how you doing? Two interesting micro brands are Mayan and, again, I don't know either one. Tell me about their movements. Indeed, they use a standard. Which ones? There's sort of a newer one that people know about, and that's Concepto. But ETA is sort of out of the game, and so you have Soprod, you have Solida, and I guess now you have Concepto as well. And Ordain. That's it, Andrew. Thanks again, man. I'm really glad you came today. I believe they make their own cases too. They do. Okay. They do have top-notch dials. They have a lot of interesting things, and I like them a lot. Hi, James. Regarding micro brand release this year, the Monta Noble looks good. Okay. Beside the high horology guys, which companies make the most true full watches in affordable price range, in your opinion? Right off the top of my head, I'd say Jaeger-LeCoultre. That's just off the top of my head without thinking a lot. Hi, Abdul. How you doing? You are pretty late. You have to go stand in a corner now. Christian Dior SC is the main holding company of LVMH. Ooh, I didn't know that. Ooh, that is very interesting. They sort of like, you picture all of these fish. You have the great big fish, it's eating the littler fish, and then you have the middle-sized fish eating the tiny fish. And I think that would be Dior, LVMH, and Bulgari, something like that. Okay, guys. Rizzo, if you're standing in for Clyde, okay, you got to know that my time is up. You're supposed to be the timekeeper and keep me out of trouble. It is very interesting in appearance. Bought a caliber from Seiko. Seiko's got a good. They've got not a bad caliber at all. Look, guys, got to run. Back time. Got to put my mask back on to show everybody my new mask. This was what they started off with, and there's no reason not to wear a mask when you can have your watch and put on it. So I have my mask and my watch. You guys be careful, take care, and once everybody gets a shot, we'll all be better. Hey, Tony.